One minute they are all in, and the next minute you feel like you are chasing a ghost. Let's talk about avoidant behavior. My name is Megan. I am the conscious breakup coach, and I help you turn your heartbreak into the best glow up you have ever seen. So, avoidant behavior. We like to look at it like it's this complex, mystical thing to figure out. But when you really stop and think about it, if you want to demystify avoidant behavior, just think in terms of opposite. So while you may handle a relationship by wanting to get closer and closer, they deal with the relationship by wanting to get further and further away. That's when the person turns into the phantom X. If you process your grief right away, they process their grief 5 months later. All in all, as complex as avoidant behavior may be, most of the complexity comes from just our lack of being able to relate. So, when we think about avoidant behavior, it is formed in childhood as a means to protect them from emotional letdowns. This attachment style was created through pain. It was created because at some point or another, the child did not feel like they had an emotionally safe space to go to whenever they were experiencing big or heavy emotions. This could look like fear. This could look like love. This could look like being sad or angry. Anything that requires any level of vulnerability, and avoidant is going to feel uncomfortable with because that's not something that feels familiar to them. So, some common traits of avoidant attachment style in relationships is pulling away when things get too close. Right after intimate moments or intimate conversations, you all of a sudden don't hear from them for a day or two afterwards. This could look like after intimate moments like the birth of a kid or after a wedding. Anything that requires vulnerability, normally you don't hear from the avoidant after for a little while. They have to have a cooling down time. Now, another way that we can think about avoidance in relationships is how much they prioritize their independence. So, as we just mentioned, throughout childhood, avoidants were left to deal with their big emotions by themselves, not necessarily because they like it, but because it feels familiar, avoidance will continue to prioritize their independence. The only issue is that avoidants aren't always clear on what independence is. So, in the prioritizing your independence is like still having your own hobbies. Well, for an avoidant to prioritize their independence, it is a matter of not getting their feelings entangled with someone else. So if they feel like you are becoming too close to them or too comfortable, I guess, too familiar, then they immediately start to feel like they are being enmeshed, like almost like they are being suffocated by their partners, because that feeling of closeness does not coincide with their need for independence. Ultimately, they are driven by their fears of losing themselves in a relationship. So, whenever they feel like they are getting ready to lose themselves, that is when they will start to give physical distance. So, when an avoidant ends things, it is probably one of the most painful things. I actually did a short on why these little short-term relationships, when they end, they actually can hurt worse than divorce. You have a number of things kind of working against you. So, first, it hurts because avoidance end things at the height of the intimacy. They end things when things are really, really good. The only issue is that you're with someone who doesn't feel comfortable with things being good. So while you're thinking the natural progression of the relationship is to get closer and more intimate, which is natural. The avoidant, on the other hand, is like, yeah, it's natural, but it doesn't feel good. So an avoidant will, boom, discard you. And it hurts so painfully deep. It cuts so painfully deep because it is happening right at the height of when things should be going good. Now, another way the avoidant discard is also so painful is because if you are anxiously attached, then the avoidant discard is going to trigger some of your most deepest wounds. There's no way to get around it. Anxious attachment is created through a fear of abandonment, a fear of rejection. So the emotional inconsistency that creates those fears. When an anxious person is dealing with someone who is avoidant, they are triggering those deepest fears. Why? Because of the false identity of the first 3 months. In the beginning, there are times that you want to hear from your partner or you want to be with your partner that you're not speaking up on because you're afraid that they're going to think you're too clingy or you're afraid you're going to run them off. And the same thing in the beginning, the avoidant is not pretending, but they are showing up like they are emotionally available, like they are secure, because both of you are giving each other what you think the other one wants. The only issue is that while you all are giving each other what the other one wants, you all are both denying your relational needs. And that's why when you hit the 4 month mark and the relationship is now going south, it hurts so bad because you have actually been denying your needs for the past 4 months, but you were only denying your needs out of fear that that person wouldn't show up. Now you are looking at the harsh reality of that person not showing up. And when that person doesn't show up, it triggers those deepest childhood wounds that you have of your primary caretakers, of the first expectations that you had for someone to show up and them not meeting your needs then either. So the avoidant discard isn't just painful because that person is leaving you. Of course, it hurts whenever something doesn't work out, especially if we have taken it on as rejection. But it's also hurting because you knew that you were denying certain things that you wanted the last few months of the relationship. And now you're not only dealing with the pain of what this person is inflicting upon you, but you're dealing with the pain of self-betrayal as well. So, how do we deal with the pain of the avoidant discard or deal with the pain of avoidant behavior? The very first thing that I can offer you is to stop taking it personal. When you are anxiously attached, you naturally will gravitate towards something being done towards you. Everything is a direct attack towards you. However, when you are dealing with an avoidant, they are normally never thinking about you. I mean, I know that sounds awful, and I don't mean it to sound as callous as it came out, but their deactivating strategies are all about them. You are just par for the course. It's unfortunate that they affect you, but the avoidant deactivating strategies are all about them regaining control over their own feelings. It just so happens that you end up getting hurt in the process. So you have to stop taking the actions of the avoidant so personal. You have to start looking at the actions of the avoidant as in how are these actions meeting an unmet need within them? Maybe their unmet need is the need for independence, their need for space. Well, they're not speaking to you or they're not answering phone calls. How is that serving them? It's serving them because it is creating the space that they need. Now, please keep in mind, I am in no way, shape, or form encouraging an unhealthy relationship. I'm not even encouraging a relationship with an unhealed avoidant. I see these relationships work out all the time when both parties are willing and ready to do the work. But when you are in a relationship with an avoidant that refuses to do the work or is even unaware that there is work that needs to be done, you are setting yourself up to be emotionally let down because you can't carry the work of childhood trauma for the both of you. I have said this before and I'll say it again. When we talk about healing from these insecure attachment styles, the healing is sometimes different. For an anxiously attached person, the healing is just a matter of being able, well, I don't want to say just because I definitely don't want to minimize the pain that is that comes from the creation of these woundings, but it's more about identifying the experiences, the situations that created the woundings. For an avoidant, however, it's not just about identifying the situations that created these woundings. It is also about them building up their capacity to hold the pain and to hold the emotions that is associated with these woundings. Avoidants detach themselves, not just from the feelings that they may be experiencing with you, but they detach themselves from the feelings that they are experiencing within as well. So when an avoidant thinks about healing their attachment wounds, they don't have to just come to terms with the fact that there are wounds present, but they also have to understand how they can hold those emotions that they probably have not even thought about holding since they were like 6 years old. So I kind of just went on a rant a little bit, but let's get right back on topic. So when we think about how to respond to avoidant behavior, it is A, not taking things so personal and looking at what unmet need that behavior is fulfilling within them. Next thing I want to say is using secure language. When anxiously attached people and avoidant people are in relationships, communication issues are at an all-time high because the anxiously attached person can only talk about the things that they are feeling, and the avoidantly attached person can only talk about the things that they are doing. There is a complete miscommunication because both of you are lacking the emotional awareness to identify what you really need from the miscommunication, and B, the language to verbally communicate it. So, learning how to use secure language. Secure language is going to look like using only true statements. Don't speak about things that you think are going to happen or that you think did happen. Only speaking true statements. Also, only speaking I statements. Not you did dot dot dot. It is I feel dot dot dot. Or I think or I believe. Keep it an I statement because people can dispute many things, but they can never dispute the way you feel. And then lastly, responding to avoidant behavior, and this is probably the most important, is knowing when to walk away. These different relationship dynamics are created because they are meant to trigger some of your deepest woundings. When your deepest wounds are triggered, it makes it that much harder to walk away because now you're no longer thinking from the rational part of you that is able to make sense of it all. Now you're thinking from the inner child in you, and that inner child in you is in survival mode. That inner child in you is thinking from its stress responses. Your stress response, whether it be fight, flight, or freeze, is going to have you acting in ways that you can't even rationalize just simply because stress responses are created before we even have rational thought. How many people talk about them being in connection with someone and them acting in ways that they can't even explain, ways that are so embarrassing to them? Now, think about the wounds that create this type of behavior. These wounds were created in childhood. So when you think about someone who has lost their partner and they are begging and they're screaming and they're crying and, they're borderline stalking, that sounds like a child that has been abandoned by their mother, by their father, or by a trusted adult. The behavior is associated with the way you would have responded when it initially happened. The only way to stop this behavior is to not only identify the root cause of it, but to learn how to integrate it into your waking life, into your rational thoughts. And that is what we call reparenting. And I will leave reparenting to another video because reparenting can actually get pretty detailed. So, as a lasting thought, when we think about our healing journey and we think about some of the pain that these discards, these breakups are creating within us, instead of running from it, and running from it can look like eating it away, smoking it away, drinking it away, maybe texting them it away, or stalking them on social media. it away. Instead of finding a way to run from it, look at that pain, cry it out, let it go. See what that pain is trying to show you. And of course, if you're really ready to do the work, then please go into the description box for the link to my calendar to book a discovery call. We get into the meat of this work. Understanding the pain that was not visible, that was created by our primary caretakers, is literally the key to having everything you have ever wanted in this life. My name is Megan. I am the Conscious Breakup Coach. And until next time, I will see you later.